Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, ladies? What's up, gents? It's Ninja once again. Today, I want to go over some tips on another selectable weapon in Gears of War 4. It's a submachine gun, and it offers a fast fire rate, but falls short on damage and long range capabilities. Dubbed the Enforcer, it's actually quite capable of downing two targets with just one clip of the weapon. Now, I was motivated to make this video based on an article that mentioned how useless the Enforcer was to the article author, so I took the challenge and wanted to test the guy's theory. I figured, there's got to be a way to make that thing useful since there's not really a lot of options for selectable primary weapons in Gears compared to other shooter games, like Battlefield, for example. Now that's some variety. Well, alright, let's get some started. Let's get things started with, some of the things that I pay attention to in the game when I use the Enforcer. And I might actually miss a few things, but I will try to cover most. Now, first things first. When I'm learning a new weapon, I normally find trying out the social playlist as a much better option to practice with them since it's the place where incomplete teams, anything less than 5 members go to warm up before heading out to a ranked competitive match. Plus, quitting won't penalize you. Talk about forcing you to wait 15 minutes before you can start another match just for quitting, really? Like, that's a little harsh, Coalition. Come on, man. Hey, come on, men. Going over some downfalls, I found the weapon weak at first based on how it felt when I fired it. And what I mean by that, I felt like I was using a spitball gun. And judging by the ruthless body movements my opponents were responding with, I really felt like I wasn't doing anything much to make them want to take cover. But it turns out it actually packs a punch if the rounds are making impact. The problem with that is that the round fires randomly within that bloody cog on the center of the screen. Now, it doesn't shoot exactly center screen. They kind of like shoot within that circle, and it also has a rough upwards recoil. So what I do to counter that is I tap the left thumbstick, or actually the right thumbstick, down slightly about like 3 times, throughout the firing process of a single mag. And it all depends on your chosen game sensitivity. A useful way that helps me eliminate recoil as well, and that also keeps me safer while sending down range, is the cover technique, where you can move the left thumbstick back and forth between the 12 and 3 o'clock at a fairly quick rate whenever you're at the edge of a cover. It would be the 9 to 12 o'clock for the left side of cover, so keep that in mind. What also helps me maintain recoil is the trigger control, where I feel like if my rounds may miss, because it's just one of those days where I feel off in the game, or I played an RPG for too long, I just, shoot a quick burst to see where my rounds are headed, or where they impacting, right? And after a quick premature set of rounds go off, I make my adjustment, my aim adjustment, to obviously center that my aim to that target on the center screen and fire away fully automatic to ensure that they don't have any more time to shoot more than one shotgun round at me. Because let's face it, the Gnasher is the most dangerous and most commonly used weapon in the game for close quarters combat. When in doubt, switch out. My rule of thumb is, if I don't active reload successfully, the magazine may only down one target. But if I active reload successfully, then I actually may down 2 targets without showing any signs of retreat, because that's what they're looking for, your opponents. They're the easy opportunities to take you down. If they see you move away, retreating, then they're going to take shots at you. Going 1v1, therefore, is always a safe route. As far as ammo goes, and its potential goes, you start off with 180 rounds, and for me that's enough to take out 4 guys at least, on the average. But when I make use of effective surprise attacks, it helps me save ammo, and I could even take out 5 before having to switch out to the Gnasher, and hopefully obviously make a little nice kill streak before dying. And if I make the first move in a 1v1, I'll stick to a wall and shoot while aiming in. That actually helps with the recoil. But then switch off to the blind fire if they get too close. This helps move my character dodge in any direction way faster. Your other alternative option is to simply melee. This should suffice for the count. Seriously. I also reload very often and utilize wall bounce tactics, or at least use a single dodge. It's an absolute must for me. If they get too close, I blind fire, and if they're running at me, within 5 steps. I aim in, fully depressing the trigger while moving in any direction while I am shooting. That's the best way to get them, if they're like 5 steps away. This will aid in controlling the recoil more and overall ensure better accuracy. So aim in when you can, guys. The reason why I reload often is because not every time one presses the reload button will they be giving that easier chance to achieve that active reload opportunity. Where the sweet spot, is thicker than usual on the reload display, which is located at the top right hand side of the screen. My rule of thumb therefore is that every 3 or 4 times that I press the reload button, I'll be given that sweet chance, that next chance to get that easy reload, that active reload. And you guys might have watched a useful video out there that goes over this in detail, so you know the secrets. So please share in the comments if you do. But for me, it's always kind of like just sometimes it works 2 reloads, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, just whatever. The point is that I reload often just because it gives me that extra opportunity, the higher chance to get that easier active reload. And it usually doesn't matter if you miss the actives. Just be ready to switch to the Gnasher after at least placing some rounds first. That's what you're really trying to do, is just place a little bit of rounds, just a few rounds of the Enforcer, and then switch out to the Gnasher. It's normally what I do, and it keeps them baffled every time. Like, is he going to keep the Enforcer equipped, or what's going on, So you just got to make it quick. Body movements are a must for me. Not just any random character movements, but calculated ones that are meant to trick your human target, because it doesn't work on bots, I'll tell you that much. In sporting terminology, it's called telegraphing, where one alerts an opponent of one's immediate situation or intentions. Boxers that rotate their shoulders to throw a hook would be telegraphing. In Gears of War, turning one's character to face in one direction rather than one's opponent is a sign that one will jump in that direction. When surprise attack opportunities arise, calculating your opponent's cone of vision is a sure way to make them work effectively. Since the game is kind of always got you on the left side, you're always going to have to take cover. You're going to always have to have the upper hand, having that left side going around corners from the approaching them from the right hand side. Only in Mass Effect can you really change the angle your character faces. So being on the left side of a cover is just a way to increase success rates in Gears of War 4. 1v1s aren't that common in Gears, and they never really last, unfortunately. So if one's heading my way, I prioritize them instead of, my confirmed down that I just downed. I also tend to reload mid-battle more often with the Enforcer than with any other weapon, because it actually reloads pretty quickly. And if I'm not given that higher opportunity, that probability for an active reload that I mentioned, that freebie opportunity on the next reload process, why not try again? Because it reloads fast, That's what I'm trying to get at, guys. Also, marking enemies is always essential for me, because even through smoke and walls, I will have an idea where they are, and I can play accordingly, plan accordingly to what am I going to do next. Meanwhile, they have no clue that all eyes may be on them. One thing I also noticed that helps me win battles with the Enforcer is just shooting at your opponent's gun instead of choosing to shoot at their feet, for example. General rule of thumb is to aim for the head, sure, but because the recoil is bad with the weapon, I start at the midsection where the weapon is usually being held, knowing the weapon will naturally recoil upwards to the head. Anyway, turns out what this essentially does is counter most of the rounds that they are firing at you. Now picture their rounds colliding with yours mid-air, because it's basically what's happening. I have confirmed this when using the Gnasher and the Boltok, since their shot patterns are more consistent with the Enforcer. Remember, the Enforcer kind of shoots randomly within that circle. I have actually shot down a boom shot mid-air with a Boltok round, causing it to explode in front of the person who shot down the boom. So, just to prove my point that rounds in midair impacting each other, it happens, guys. Pretty ironic situations that worked out in my favor, in fact, when I shot that Boltok to the boom. So when you feel like retreat is the best option, it might not actually be the case. Alright, so usually, like I said, I change over to the Gnasher before reaching the halfway point of my Enforcer clip. That's enough to take down an individual. Keep that in mind. Only with actives will that work, though. Surprise attacks work effectively with the Enforcer because there's not a lot of reaction time available to escape at the end of the clip, or by the end of the clip. I mean, by half of the clip, if it's active, you're going to down that person if all your shots are impacting, no matter what. I normally expect, though, after placing at least like 1/3 of my clip to my opponent, that they will run or roll into cover somewhere. They're gonna dodge. They're gonna want to dodge. They're gonna show me that retreat. So if they are really skilled, they're just gonna go for it, and that actually helps you to get that easy Enforcer kill. Some of the skilled players do that where they roll immediately after they just get that first few shots in them. because when they're being shot at me, they just react quick and they roll safely in a safe direction so that they can plan their next move. I've noticed that. If these guys are avoiding all your enforcer shots, then there's no way. Just switch to your Gnasher and take it on. Because I read on the website itself that the Gnasher, no matter what, is capable of beating the enforcer. I'm gonna go ahead and just follow that. It's on Wikipedia, I think. I don't know. It's not really the most exact, best source out there, but it's something to start off with, right? All right. So one mistake I learned not to do with the enforcer is not to run into the intersections of any corner. You really can't. You really shouldn't be doing it with any weapon anyway, because chances are that the enemy is there, waiting to one-shot you with a Gnasher. So I approach the wall opposite of corners to have enough deadly distance. The key here is firing first, hard aiming for higher accuracy and reduced recoil, and focusing the aim at the weapon that the enemy is holding, which will be in the chest area, to counter the rounds midair and to take advantage of the weapon's recoil that moves upward to the head. Choosing maps that have a lot of corridors and choke points are also the smartest way to utilize the Enforcer, since using them on open maps like Gridlock over here will not really allow you to support your teammates from a long distance. One of the biggest things that applies to all weapons, not just the Enforcer, is adjusting one's game sensitivity where they feel is the best and most comfortable for dodging attacks. Remember when I mentioned you're trying to avoid 2 Gnasher shots, because if not, you're done. Well, if you shoot at the gun, you can afford an extra shot at you, but by then, I mean, you should be able to down that person with that clip of the Enforcer. And some last things to mention: turning off one's controller vibration may help users who find it difficult handling the vibration while shooting. I also recommend using a headset to be able to anticipate enemies that are approaching you. Finally, pay attention to the speed of the Gnasher shots, because you're going to be using that time to adjust or dodge in between shots to avoid all incoming fire. Well, guys, these are the tips that help me out when using the Enforcer on Gears of War 4. I hope you find it helpful, and hopefully these tips work out for you. Good luck out there, Gears. Or Locust. Or Swarm. Or UIR. Whatever. Peace.